forgot to change the title on Restream. It still says we drink and we know things on the website.
But I got Rise Above the Noise. You see?
Oh, I don't know.
What the Everybody, you don't hear this. We'll be back.
Oh, wait, now it says apps.
In an age where being a timid, whiny, weak little fruitcake is the norm. We're not just a little different. We're a lot different. You're listening to the Voice of the People USA Radio Network. We're live 24/7 on www.vopusaradio.com. New live shows can be found every day and night of the week. We are the new mainstream media. This is where censorship comes to die, and all voices and opinions are welcome here. Thursday night, it's Voice of the People USA Radio. The VOP Roundtable, live every Tuesday night. Rise Above the Noise, a conversation with Carrie and Dan, airing live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. The VOP Roast, airing live every Friday night. Tales from the Woodshed.
All right, that has to stop. That's so damn outdated now. I can't tolerate it. I love it, but it hurts my soul. All right,
Oopsie.
So here, I'm going to play something because I love this, and you haven't heard this yet. So our boy, he's of YouTube fame. He's called The Hand Crow. He is a mastermind when it comes to creating cool shit, and he found a way around some copyright stuff. So listen to this music, Carrie. You'll appreciate this.
Okay.
Well, you might hate it, but I'll be happy.
I like it.
Isn't that great?
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's Metallica hip-hop-ish, and it makes me happy.
And it's stealing from West Side Story.
It is?
That was the first part of it, was coming to America. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's from West Side Story. That first part sounded exactly like that.
What the fuck?
You didn't catch that?
No, I just picked up a Metallica's Don't Tread on Me. But
that first part was da 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 da. That's Coming to America. That's not Coming to America. That's from West Side Story.
Wow. You know, I actually know what you're talking about. I never thought about that, and I'm never going to think about that again. But
sorry,
no.
I was surprised that you were having a Broadway tune. I'm like, what is going on here?
No. We're not going down that road.
You already did.
Only to you. So for what it's worth, I updated the titles now. Okay, so
yeah, I see it. Yeah.
I can't be like everybody from like that whole We Drink and We Know Things show and Ladies Night that all, you know, they're all about changing titles consistently. Actually, I'm pretty good.
Well, I was changing the title every single time, like I was told to, but every time I go to put my title in, somebody's left their other shit in there. So I was like, oh, fuck that. Then I'm not going to change it either.
And I usually
very annoyed.
Usually I change the titles every time. Usually I'm not that bad, but some people might be forgetting to change them back or clear them. And they need to be found, held accountable, and punished publicly.
Yes, absolutely.
That is a warning to anybody.
Agree.
Yes, anybody who's a member of the VOP Empire, we will find you, and we will hold you accountable. I'm just saying. So, welcome to We Drink and We Rise Above the Noise. even though
there we go.
There. So welcome to your show, Carrie. It is our show. Anyway, I did it for you.
Do I actually sound like that? Because if I do, I need to stop. Okay.
No, it's just me being an asshole, but I'm good at it. So it is Tuesday, 8/17/2021, and we are coming to you live for a special edition of Rise Above the Noise. Yeah, it's because I actually no. I have a good excuse this week because my mama is priority. So, yes.
Yep.
There'll be no shows, at least for me tomorrow. And sorry, Thursday. I am spending the time with mom. That is important to me. So there.
Yep.
I actually took off work for the first time ever since starting this job.
Good for you.
I know. Will there even be a difference? I don't really know, but yes,
Wait a minute. How long have you been this job, and this is your first day off?
Yes.
You've been doing this job for how many years now?
Well, almost 2.
Wow.
So it's not that bad, but no. But what sucks is at the end of the year when you just let 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever the hell it is now, a vacation just disappear. And my boss is always
Why
telling me,
do you do that? You're
just
stupid. You are absolutely stupid. You need to take that time because you're losing money. You're basically losing money because that's you're being paid for that, and you're just, damn it, Dan, take a vacation.
That's gonna happen. Listen, that will happen. I will actually take real time. But
when hell freezes over.
No, I'm starting it the right way because mom is priority. So there you go.
Okay.
So
yeah, you took 1 day?
2. For some reason, I didn't take Friday, but then again, Friday, we don't know yet. I may end up going to fucking Florida again.
Oh, God.
You want to talk about it? I want to talk about it anyway. So, yes, everybody. So you're listening to a special edition of Tuesdays. We meant to reschedule last week, but honestly, I just fucking completely forgot to even ask, Carrie, hey, when are we going to do it? Because she could attest. I messaged her today at 1 o'clock because that was my goal. I got to message her by like 1:30. And I shot her a message, and then I looked down and realized it was like 4:30. I lost track of time. I'm like, hey, you're going to do the show today, right? Yeah. Thankfully, she was.
Well, that's okay because last night, Kit was. I said something that Kit was like, "Well, you have your show tomorrow night with Dan." I'm like, "I do," because I wasn't sure because he said either Tuesday or Thursday, and I didn't know what it was yet. I was like, so I have to thank Kit for having the heads up there.
That's because I'm a part-time forgetful asshole. Because I did set up the show when you said you're good with either. I set it up, and then I forgot to ask you, "Hey, is Tuesday good?" I totally forgot. So, I
saw the original invite, but it didn't say what day, I don't think. Or maybe I just didn't look at it. I was just like, okay.
It was there, but hey, it's all good. It's all good. So, for the special programming note, for those who care, we're actually doing, this is not advertised at all either, which is kind of priceless. Like, you really got to work on the promotion thing. I mean, that's going to happen soon enough with the whole relaunch stuff, but I should really step up my game a little bit, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. So after tonight's show with Carrie on Carrie's show, then we're going to do a special OG, I'm calling it that, edition of the VOP Roundtable.
OG, yes. Is it because Goygus will be there?
the Goygus one will be there, live in the flesh, returning, and me. So both of us returning. Now, Goygus did roundtables more recently than I. I haven't done any roundtables since I think I called in maybe about 8 months ago or something along the lines. But started out the roundtable, but obviously we handed that over, and now I'm gonna join again tonight. So that'll be fun.
Very cool.
Contain your excitement, Carrie. I'm sick and tired
of
you sitting here going crazy.
I'm super excited you're going to be on another show.
Your excitement is contagious, okay? It is contagious. Thank you.
You're
My
welcome.
Special announcement completely fell. It bombed. Done. That's all right. I don't care.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
The heart set in. I'm over it. Just don't. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, it's my fault. I'm not more mature than I should be, So.
Hey now.
Hey now. It's a song.
Oh God. Anyway. So speaking of which, by the way,
yes,
By the way, I
Yes, sir.
also kind of fucked up last night. Stop saying that. It's weird.
All right, Dan. What did you do last night, Dan?
Yeah, Dan, asshole, something. Like, that's kind of, you being all like, yes, sir. It's just strange.
I'm just trying to be nice. Jeez.
I know. It's so fake, and I love it. Anyway, no. That's not nice of me to say. So
no, but true. Very true.
Hey now. So last night I had told the master of schedulers, Ace, that you're going to be switching up. We drink and we know things. I completely forgot to ask when it was starting. So I kind of like, when it didn't come on Sunday night, I'm like, it's going to start this week. And then last night I turned on the last few minutes of Ladies Night, and I heard you say we're going to get ready for the next show. I'm like, oh shit, Ace, sorry. That starts tonight. That was
I put it in the schedule. I looked at radio. Well, I was confused because I had said that, right? And then Kevin and I had gone golfing on Sunday, and we went to grab something to eat. And so in that meantime, like, I actually was talking to Kit. She was texting, and she said that you had said that it was going to start this week or whatever. I was like, oh, all right. Well, then we don't have to rush back. So I was like, okay, so it's not on Sunday. It's going to be on Monday. But then I realized that you probably didn't know that. And I know it was a lot of miscommunication and a comedy of errors. But hey, we went on last night and it was fun and dandy. And, hey.
Yeah, and I'm a horrible one when it comes to remembering things. So let's be honest here. I can still blame the meds, but it's getting old. So whatever.
That's why I put everything in my calendar, or I forget shit. So
it's
like
strange.
Even like to remind me to give my dog my dogs their heartworm medicine, all that. I get every month. I do that every month to remand myself to change the filter in the water fountain for them. I'm like, if I don't do that, I forget.
That's important, So tell me, what's on your mind? What's going through your brain that you would like to bring up?
Well, shall I dive in to the deep end right away?
That's always fun.
Instead of easing in. Yeah. I'm not one to wade into the shallow, and I usually just jump in. So I do want to know your opinion. And so I will admit that I am not very educated when it comes to, I've tried, but it's very confusing. Have not educated myself too much on Afghanistan. And I know the basics. I heard, and I just want you to, I'm just going to sketch what little I know. And then I want to know I'd like you to fill in the blanks for me, actually. So I know that way back, talking, we didn't start the fire, Billy Joel song, Russians in Afghanistan. I know way back, the Taliban was originally, I think I got this right, I heard this the other day, started by, I think the Afghan government. It was like an extra, it was originally, the name Taliban was a positive thing. It was like a religious education kind of, like the men who were part of it were originally educated religious people who were trying to, I don't know, they were supposed to be good. And of course that fell apart relatively quickly. And so I know that, for a long time, we have, as a country, wanted to pull out of Afghanistan. And I know that Trump started it. So now, Biden basically finished it. But I don't understand. So the whole, the way that it went down, it seems like, and I heard it today too, they were talking about how seemed like a very arbitrary date that it just had to be done by the end of August, period, end of story. And so what was very interesting was that I don't understand either. There's 2 points here. So I'm not a huge Biden fan. Okay. Very honest with you on that. But so on the one side, the 1 point, he finished what Trump began, right? Getting the troops out, but then everything fell apart so fucking fast. And now, it's like, so why didn't Why couldn't we have done something? I don't know. What could have been done differently, I guess, is my bottom line. Like, so people are happy that the troops are out, but now they're angry too. So, like, which is it? Like, what am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to believe? You know, I need your input on that.
Check your messages real quick.
I did. I understand.
Yeah. So that one kills me.
I don't expect anything crazy. I'm just trying to, as a general layman's term, trying to understand.
No, you're cool. The Taliban was, yes, it was a religious sect, if you will. Really rose to prominence in the 80s. I believe it was the early 80s, if I remember correctly. It might have been the late 70s, 80s, somewhere in that timetable. And America at that time decided to place their bets essentially on the Taliban, and we gave weapons and training and things of that nature to the Afghan army, aka the Taliban, bin Laden included, to basically defend themselves against Russia. So they were literally at war with Russia. And we armed and backed the Taliban. Just like we did with Iraq. We backed Iraq and armed them and had deals with them, and we backed them in their war against Iran. So the Taliban, now this is so hard for me, because if I talk to Dan from 2001, you know, it's the Taliban are fucking evil. I'm not saying they're good, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, oh, they're fucking terrorists, kill them all, you know, carpet bomb the country, everything else. Talking, you know, looking in the mirror now, it's like, well, we have an interesting situation. So the Taliban became what we know as the enemy because they sold it to us as such. Now, they obviously, they advocate and support and endorse and empower Sharia law and things of that nature. And I'm in no way going to defend how they treat their people, how they treat women, anything of the sort. But at the same time, it's not our place to. So it's one of those deals where no matter how sick and fucked up and twisted it may be, it's really not our place, right? And no matter how, I mean, you remember during the you know, the last two, especially Trump years, you know, Trump was attacking what's his face? The president of Iran, pretty hardcore, Khomeini. He was lighting him up on Twitter, but not in combat. And you remember millions of people in Iran going to the streets and women taking off their hijabs and waving the American flag and wanting freedom and stuff like that. So I'm never going to downplay the strife and the struggle for freedom that these people have to endure. I couldn't speak to it. I wouldn't know what it's like to live that life. So you feel for it. You get it. All right. Right. So the Taliban became a thing when we were told they were a thing. When we were told that Al-Qaeda and the Taliban are one and the same, and they support this, and they knock down the towers in New York City, and they're at war with America, because that was what everybody needed to hear, everybody needed to believe, and everybody was sold on. So they are as bad as we were told they are, in other words. And again, this is not, I have to be careful with this. This is not an endorsement of the Taliban. This is not an endorsement of their way of life and how they do things, but it's also, at the same time, again, I don't want another country coming here telling us how we should live our lives, nor should they, at the end of the day. So the Taliban were considered the more moderate between them and the Al-Qaeda. Now, Al-Qaeda, as far as you could look at white papers, you could look at the classifications, you could look at a lot of different things. Al-Qaeda was the American puppet radical group before there was an ISIS that we basically created, helped fund, arm, and go to work, and they allegedly infiltrated the Taliban, one and the same, things of that nature. So that's some truisms that you will not hear people say, you will not hear people speak about. And I'm going to jump around here a little bit, so bear with me. And I'm doing this for a reason. So today, I shared a tweet on Twitter of the leader of the Taliban giving a press conference from the presidential palace. And he was asked about free speech, and he said, America America isn't one to talk about free speech. Look there first. Look at what's happening with your Facebooks, with your Twitters. And he said, we're on Twitter right now, but is the former president on Twitter right now? Are thousands of other people? So don't comment to us about free speech. I'm like, well, Jesus Christ. And I'm thinking like, wow.
I think you mean Allah.
Yeah. I'm like, this kind of hurts my soul a little bit. Like, damn, I agree with the Taliban. Yeah. Fucking hell.
Right.
And then they talk about, you know, the American president. Now, this is just, I don't care who the president is. I mean, we could play modern day comparisons. Do you think Donald Trump would have said, please don't take our embassy, please let people pass, please give safe passage? No. He, like he did with Khomeini, he did it via Twitter and official statement that if you cross that line, I'm going to destroy you and there'll be nobody left to tell your story. And he basically said, I won't even need one ground troop. It'll be done by the air and nobody will exist to tell your story. And they stepped back. Right. Khomeini did it and he got incinerated. And it's like there's this very big difference. So please don't take our embassy. They took the embassy. Please don't take the presidential palace. They took the palace. Please don't. Who the fuck says please? And the Taliban addressed the weakness at the helm in America. And somebody had actually mentioned, I'm surprised they took the level of questions that they took because let's face it, they're in control now. But they were asked about, well, Joe Biden did what the Taliban wanted. He took the troops out. Isn't that what you wanted? The remark was, are we supposed to forget about the 8 years he served under Obama while bombs rained down on my country? Are we supposed to forget about the years he voted for the illegal wars and occupation while George Bush was president and killed my people? Are we supposed to forget about? And he kept going and going and going and going. And he's like, damn. And then they asked him a question about the former president, and he said, bombs didn't rain down on our country, but I sat at a table. I'm like, wow. You know, and I don't want to be that guy. It's like, holy shit, the Taliban's making sense as they're fucking beheading and stoning people and everything else. I'm like, how fucking sad is that when the Taliban dude is making more sense than 99% of the media? So then you have the situation where I believe a couple things. I believe this was a false flag, so to speak, meaning it was done by design, knowing full well that it would collapse the way that it would. And I mean, oh, okay. Sorry, you muted. I said it got really quiet there. And so something that I'm going to give a shout out because, hey, wrestling fans get it, but America's mayor, Glenn Jacobs, Kane of Knox, Tennessee, he made a very good point via Twitter. He said, you know, what's amazing is we're now going to have to send troops in to get troops out. And he said with so much flip-flopping, you would think Fauci's in control of the foreign policy. And I'm like, damn. So they knew this was going to happen. There was a plan in place, and there was an accord, which the Taliban did acknowledge the first day they took over the presidential palace, where they legitimately said this would not have been the case if strength was still at the helm in the imperial evil, end quote. But because of the status of things in the West, this is how it must be. So they like to throw it out there that he's just finished what Trump started. No. That is, and I'll give some credit, and I hate doing this more than anything in my heart and soul. I will give credit to Jake Tapper. I will give credit to a couple people on CNN and MSNBC, Piers Morgan, who have said, you don't get to blame Trump for this because the accord that he had worked out was very different than this. And you can't say that's not true because we had 4 years of peace in the Middle East, essentially under Trump. Well, people could deny that, say there's something, you got to give it to the dude. And maybe it was because they thought he was so insane that he would fucking do something crazy. But you know what? It worked. So they did have something drastically different worked out. And they just did the quick pullout, leaving all the weapons, the armament, the guns, the Blackhawks, the tanks. It's like we just gave them an upgrade from the 70s or 80s when we gave them our first round of shit. We gave them more now. So that's your money. That's my money. Now, the more important thing to say is it's a slap in the face We never should have been there. We never should have been there. We never should have been there. Never should have been in Iraq. I stand firm on that bullshit. I back in the day, I thought differently. Now it's obvious. Okay. But
they compare it to Vietnam. So,
well, of course. Well, remember dipshit saying we're not going to have a Saigon moment. And of course, no, we had about 30 of them. Lest we forget, I mean, you know, when they show in the planes land, they're having to scrape the people out of the engines and the people falling from the planes and everything else. So, I mean, in what world, no matter Republican, Democratic, I don't care what you are, in what world do you think that's a good visual that we did it right? And it's a slap in the face. And this is something different. The Taliban, China, I don't know about ISIS, North Korea, other countries, no matter how much they may hate us and hate those who are imposing their will or imperialism, as they would say, onto their countries, one thing they respect, fighters respect fighters. They don't respect drone strikes. They don't respect, you know, the stealth shit, which of course is commonplace in war. They respect fighters. Okay. So it's not the troops' fault for doing what they were ordered to do. And what has happened there is essentially spitting on the graves of everybody, man and woman. And let's face it, men, women, children of Afghanistan as well. It's spitting on their graves. Now, when you're 20 years in and there's a piece in me, it's like, fuck you, take care of it yourself. I get that. But I also understand there needs to be a kept stability. And it doesn't mean we have to occupy always. It means, yes, peace through strength. Right now, we show no strength. We show that we bailed. We show everybody there, and people will say, and they're not wrong. Well, the Afghan army what did they do? They did nothing. Okay. But
we trained them for how long and nothing but,
Of course. But at the same time, America went there and told the people who were sincere about breaking away from their tyranny that we're not going to leave you behind. We're going to give you a fresh start. We're going to build this. We're going to build that. And we did. And then we just took it all away like that. So that's where you have the conundrum. That's where you run into a wall. Because they've made something that never should have happened in the first place worse. And I will say Bush is obviously most responsible for this. He is the antithesis of who started the illegal wars and occupations and everything else. And again, he was the first president I voted for. I used to love him. And then I woke the fuck up. So Bush was number one. I will give blame to Obama and Biden, rightfully so, because even though it was already too many years into a failed, unnecessary, illegal war, they kept it going. They could have opted to end it in 2008, 2009 if they truly wanted to. They didn't. So as years go on, you're more entrenched. You're more dug in. What do you do? So now you've built schools, you've built shopping centers, you've built nail salons, as we see a Taliban, you know, burning the pictures of women and stuff off the doors. You've given them restaurants, you've given them fast food, you give them malls, you give them music, and then it's gone within hours. So if you were another country and you were relying on America to come and save you, and again, there's a lot of me that would say, hey, fight your own fucking battles. We had our revolution, right? But at the same time, we just cut bait, which might make some people happy. But at the end of the day, you can't do that, especially when you have to honor the lost and those who are here today that are maimed and crippled and going through whatever the hell they're going through because of them doing their job. They didn't have a chance or a choice to agree or disagree. They were given orders and they had to do their job. If they went against those orders, they'd be locked up for life or possibly put to death just for simply disobeying orders. So everybody could have 1,000 opinions, but at the end of the day, you did a disservice to the people of that country, the people who fought there in that country with us, the people who offered safe haven, safe harbor, the people who believe, the children who grew up believing that America saved us from oppression. You did a disservice to every man, every woman who served in our armed forces, not just here, but abroad. You shit all over them. And at the end of the day, it's forever going to be a war that never should have happened Because if you wanted to hold those responsible for 9/11, you'd have to turn those guns inward in DC. You see, so since we can't look in the mirror and take blame, we have to sell the story, as they've tried doing with, obviously, with Syria. I could just Ghana, South Africa. We could do this all day. The Sudan, anywhere that we've determined that we need to go and start a war to get something out of it. This, we got nothing. And they played the long game. They waited it out. They never lost. They never surrendered. And look at how the Pentagon said within 90 days it could fall. It fell, I think it was less than 9. It was allowed to happen. Now, did the senile dipshit know that it was going to happen like that? In fairness, and I hate doing this, but I have to be a non-hypocrite, right? I don't know if Biden knew that or not. I really don't. Do I think he would even be cognizant or coherent enough to care either way? I don't know. But I think nothing positive of the man, because again, he voted for these illegal wars. And again, say what you will about Trump, he wasn't in Congress or the Senate voting for wars. He was speaking out against wars for too damn long. He warned everybody about an attack in a major city in 99 and crippled America, and how they're going to blame it on somebody in a cave. I mean, so again, love, hate, that's indifferent. I'll give credit where credit is due. So with Biden, you literally voted for this. You advocated for this. You supported this. You helped build this problem. But do I honestly think that he was privy to what was going on truly and completely? Yes and no. Because as we've learned, a president is a figurehead and commander-in-chief really in name only, and they're going to do what they want to do, and they don't care about the fallout because they're trying to achieve an end game. That's all they care about. And maybe it was done to make him look bad. Remember, Carrie, remember how everybody said Cuomo is the true president? He's the future of the Democrats. We love Cuomo. I want to marry Cuomo. Cuomo's the greatest. Cuomo's the greatest. He's the best ever. Then isolated, cut off, and resigned. See? So maybe they decided that this is our time to just absolutely destroy whatever legacy Biden has. It's not a good one. The country is shit. The world is shit. I mean, again, he said the buck stops here. Then he went on to blame Trump. That's a typical political thing. And this is not a Trump supporter talking now. This is somebody who's going to call a spade a spade. When Trump said that the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq are the fault of Obama, are the fault of Biden, are the fault of Clinton, are the fault of Bush, are the fault of Cheney, are the fault of Clinton, he's not lying. He's talking about what was already done. He wasn't a part of that. So, again, I judge you by your actions. First president since Eisenhower not to start a new war or increase hostilities. So you had a lot of different things going on, but he said, it's Trump famously said, the buck does stop at me, but I'm going to hold everybody accountable. Okay. So when Biden says it and then does the typical political thing, but it was a continuation of the Trump, no, it wasn't. And that's where I hate when they had to interject politics. And then some people trying to defend his speech. His speech was so wonderful. It was written by somebody else and he read it. And yes, kudos to him for getting through a speech almost and reading it, taking no questions, and then going back on vacation. You're literally on vacation while the world is burning down. You literally have cities imposing the most tyrannical Nazi-esque lockdowns, essentially, and segregation and prejudice. Just, you have the most papers, please, going on in your country while your border is open and over 1 million illegals have come into this country with no COVID screenings, no shots, no nothing, right? So you're going to sit there at Camp David, Delaware, wherever he may be this week, and literally sit there and watch the world burn and then expect those to adhere to these policies, adhere to this, listen to this while I do everything against what I'm saying. I don't care that I'm a conservative, I'm a populist, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm somebody who's awakened, if you will. I'll give credit where credit is due. And the only credit that man deserves is taking something that was working and making it worse than we've ever seen. And I don't care if that would have been a Republican in office or a Democrat. What has been allowed to happen has been so detrimental, so destructive, and we're the ones now that have to foot that bill. We're the ones that had to suffer. Just like now in Afghanistan, the good people who thought they were a part of something, who thought they were helping build something, who thought they were doing good, they're now forced to pay that bill. They don't have a choice. And that's the problem. We let it go for 20 years. Trump had it scaled down to what, like 3,500 troops, and you heard nothing. There was no shootings, there was no attacks, there was nothing. It was done differently. Pulling everybody out. I'm the same way. Bring the troops home today. Put them on our borders. Protect our country. That's the way it should be. 2,600. Thank you, James. I mean, like, that's how it should be. But at the same time, when you are so entrenched so long, there was a better way. You knew what the accord was. You chose to ignore the accord because you thought you were going to score political points where I'm not going to do something Trump wanted done. I'm going to do it my own way. Well, a radical move doesn't work when you're 20 years into an illegal war and you have all this infrastructure built around what you've done there. There's no way of coming out of it looking good. And you could point the finger and blame whoever you want to blame. There's a lot of people on the left, right, and a lot of people who just don't give a fuck. They'd all say the same thing. They see there's a problem here, and this is terrible. This looks terrible. So I know that I went off on a whole bunch of different things here, but I tried to tie it all together that they are they an enemy of their people? Of course. But then again, strict adherence to religious beliefs and lifestyles, if you will, right? So they don't want to live that life. They want their freedoms, but again, it's what their country is. And there's ways of changing it. They're a militant nation. They've been a militant nation for far longer than America's been in existence. That's a strife that they have to deal with on their own. While we now have China and Russia there, literally just bleeding in, taking the natural resources, China condemning what America did and laughing at us, saying how weak we look. Russia, Putin saying, well, I told you so. And go ahead and say the Taliban is wrong for what they're saying. Go ahead and say Putin's wrong for what he's saying. Sadly, they're all right. And we look weaker and more pathetic than ever before. That's the problem. Now, some will say, oh, again, to our next country that needs our help, how would they trust us? I still believe unless you come here and you bomb this country in your warplanes and I see who you are, then we should go there and fucking massacre you and we should annihilate you and we should eviscerate you and we could do it quick and very painful. Until that day happens, and I'm sorry, there was a lot more to Pearl Harbor than people want to actually, give credence to. And we'll talk about that another day. That has yet to truly happen as far as I'm concerned. So we shouldn't go help out any other country. We should take care of our own. But we made the choice to go destroy, cripple, collapse, rebuild, install leaders, install corrupt presidents in Afghanistan, basically bring a little bit of the American body of politics to Iraq and Afghanistan. How did that go? How did that go? And now look what we have. So some would say, damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, it is a catch-22. But at the same time, things could have been handled better. Weakness is now our banner. Weakness now defines America. It doesn't define you, Carrie. It doesn't define the people listening to this show, even those who hate us. It doesn't define any of you. It doesn't define our military, our law enforcement, our activists, our radicals, our non-radicals, our Republicans, Democrats, atheists, Christians, Jews. It doesn't define any of you. No. This isn't a condemnation of any one person or one group or one party or one ethnicity or one religion. It's not a condemnation of. It is the unfortunate condemnation that we are now all forced to share, whether we want to admit it or not. Oh, fuck America. I don't care. Easy to say, but you are now considered vulnerable, weak, pathetic, and more of a laughingstock than ever before. And that's a shame. because we should stand for true liberty. I don't know why I said that weird. Liberty, libertad, freedom. We have yet to truly accomplish that in our own, much less abroad. But when you have countries like Hungary and Poland and Sweden and all these other, laughing at us, but feeling bad for what we've become, we are, oh, Trump made us the laughing stock. No, they laughed at his tweets, but they were also afraid of what he would do, which translated to love, hate, anything else, irrelevant, not even open for discussion. It translated to peace where it mattered the most, when nobody before him even understood the definition of what fucking peace was. And it could have been better, but he did a damn good job compared to anybody else. And now we're past that. So now we are broken. We are fractured. We're on our knees. We don't honor our fighters. We don't honor our military. We don't honor our laws. We don't honor our allies. We don't honor our treaties. We don't honor our... I could do this all day. That is why we are the most disrespected, feckless, and weakest that we have ever been as a country. And we should be ashamed of ourselves. And I would say that we should take a knee, but we already do that. We've already taken a knee to the world. We've taken a knee by doing everything that we're told to do. And the outrage is there, but it's silent. So we do as we're told to do, as we're instructed to do, as we're ordered to do by medical people, by fucking TV, by politicians. Meanwhile, in other countries, when dictators come in, do you think they kindly say, hey, we got to lock down. Hey, we'd like you to put on a mask. Hey, we'd like you to do this. No, they force you to do it. Let's look at Australia, what's going on there right now. Okay, this is what happens in the world when dictators are born, when a tyrannical regime takes over. And here, we did it all on our own. We did it all on our own. Are you proud? To the people out there, are you proud that let petty, pathetic politics bleed into everything that they know? And they don't know much. You know how many people voted for Biden because they don't like Trump? How many people, that was your reasoning? It was going to happen either way, but we could have slowed it down just a little bit more, because there's not enough bravery in this country. So to those people, this is on you. To the alleged, I'm a hero because I didn't vote for the orange man, this is on you. For the ones who even did, this is on you. This is on us, because we allowed our country to go down this path and to become this weak and to spit in the face of everyone who has sacrificed, no matter how wrong it may have been, how evil it may have been, how imperialistic it may have been. We allowed this weakness to tarnish the name of those who fought for a country they fucking believed in. And we have people talk about slavery a lot. Let's talk about the truths, right? Black people, some were forced to fight. Yes, they were. And others willingly volunteered to fight in the revolution and in the Civil War. They did it on their own. They even didn't take their freedom after fighting. And they could have. That's true. That happened. That's factually accurate, right? People could say, oh, well, we don't know. Yes, let's reinterpret all history. That's what we know. So again, no matter how heinous things may have been there with people in chains, no matter how heinous it was in the late 1800s, the 1900s, with Italians, with Polish, with German, with Czechs, with Irish people, literally basically thrown into rock quarries and coal mines and given nothing. They don't care if you die when they took your name. They took your life. They took your livelihood. They took everything away from you. And still, they signed up to fight for a country they believed in, an idea, a vision, freedom. They fought for something more than themselves. And what have we done? We have taken a knee and we have bent over and said, fuck us good, because we're too weak to fight back. And Afghanistan is only one part of that. We are an embarrassment. We should be ashamed of what we have allowed this country to become, the control that we have allowed them to have over us, the power that we have given them and given them and given them. Well, I didn't believe in war, but if you pay taxes, you funded war. You also funded resettlements. You funded their schools. You funded this. And now you funded their death, their massacre, their murder. You've allowed it to happen. And everybody's famous. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Sit there for another 20 fucking years and say, what can we do? That'll get us real far. The decline has come at a rapid pace because of fecklessness and weakness in this country. And every single solitary person in this country is responsible and to blame. Buck stops at Biden. I do blame you, Biden. Unfortunately, the radical bitch whore that you have behind you is even worse than you, followed by the drunken slut whore cunt. And Pelosi is even worse than that one. My apologies, but when it's warranted, it's warranted. So we have no other options at this point. You see, we have no other options because we've allowed it to happen. I'm so sorry, Carrie. I didn't mean to go off on that. I just.
No, this is. Go ahead.
No, go. I won't shut up.
I was just no. I know you won't. I just. This is what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear your opinion. I wanted to hear what your take was on stuff because, I agree with you. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, that the major news networks were not sugarcoating this at all. Like it was for once it was quite the turnaround on Monday morning when I turned on the radio to hear like the anger really directed at the White House. And my thought too, and you're talking about like these promises, we should take care of ourselves first and all that. Yes. And then we try to help other people. And then, I mean, we've been there for 20 years. That's, 20 years too long, but you don't just like say peace, and just turn around and leave. And I've been listening to the more humanitarian aspects of the story quite a bit. And they are really focusing on the women and how they, and I know you said that, well, that's their religion and they need to work that out. And I agree. But you can't spend years helping build things and helping get, women to the point where they can go to school, where they can hold jobs outside of the home. And then be like, yeah, well, we didn't really give a shit. That was just like the icing on the cake if we could have it. But, sorry. And so they were talking about a clothing merchant who was selling out of his I forget the name of the really hardcore clothing that covers every inch of them except for their eyes. The burqas. Yeah. So because women were going and buying that stuff because they were afraid that the Taliban was going to basically, come at them if they were wearing anything less. And the other part too is like women who like have jobs. Like there was like a bank that said to some of the women who showed up for their job, they should go home and make sure that like they can have a family member take over if they want, but they should not be coming back because, for whatever reason, in this particular version of Islam, this and this is not Islam in general. And I don't want anyone listening to be like, all, Muslims are bad. That's not true at all. I've known many Muslims who are wonderful, caring, peace-loving people. This is one of the extremist groups. Like we have extremist Christian groups too, So it's like, I don't know what to say because on the one hand, like you said, yes, we want to get out, but it was not handled the right way. And this is such a fiasco, such a mess that it just seems impossible to comprehend how anybody, and like you said, I mean, I don't really blame Biden totally either because he's the figurehead. What the hell was whoever really like making decisions? What the hell were they thinking? Like it defies reason. I mean, this is one of the biggest, this is, how did we wind up eventually pulling out of Vietnam? Was it similar? I hear that it was actually better.
It was better. It really was better. And that's the sad part. It was better. And it came out to basically a money problem that we weren't going to keep funding the aggression. So then it was everybody pull out. What a great reason to be at war, huh? Think
well,
about
I mean,
this.
I guess that. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, think about this. We have not won a war since World War II. There's something to be proud of. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you want to say Desert Storm, okay, I guess maybe, kind of, not really, but okay. But an actual, full-fledged, full conflict, we have not won since World War II. Mm-hmm. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. I love this country, but what has happened? And you said something about what were they thinking about, allowing this to happen, because the military industrial complex, which again, Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about in his farewell address in 54? I think it was 54, maybe 55. Again, I always bring that up because imagine that. And again, I was a MacArthur fan, but still, imagine a lifelong military man, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander, right? Becomes president, starts no new wars, no new aggressions, and waits until his farewell address to warn everybody about the military-industrial complex. That took balls. That was like old school Roosevelt balls, all right? That was that. Why? What did he know then, right? But that was technically the last war that we won. So we sacrificed millions of lives. For what? For what? But we all had to believe the lie, believe the story, believe the propaganda, believe what they're telling us. Attack happens within 3 weeks. You have both sides of Congress standing up and unanimous support to go and strike Afghanistan and go and strike this one. You get all this shit, right? It's the perfect narrative, perfect propaganda. Hell, I bought it, right? So many people, USA, we're united, blah 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 blah, right into it. When in came Buck is straight on in the chat room. In came the the globalists. Just looking at the chat room, Buck, he just made a comment. Wow. Most military generals don't like war. Exactly. And in came the whole fucking the new wave of bullshit, right? We just went right into it. The Patriot Act and everything to follow from 9/11. Because we were sold the story so quickly. We were so quick to believe everything they were saying. Meanwhile, you have other attacks where the FBI is asking people that may have captured somebody on their phone to please send pictures to help them with their investigation. But no. Instantly, we knew who the enemy was. We know who did it. We know who financed it. We know why. We knew everything we needed to know. So we got to go to war. Is anything that simple? Unless you're literally, I'm not saying this, let's pick a random fucking country. Let's pick the country that the president of Afghanistan fled to, like Uzbekistan. Unless we see Uzbekistan fighter planes, I don't even know if they have them, come flying into a city near you, comes to like Honesdale or the Poconos and starts bombing us, then we could say, hey, look, it's probably them. Let's wait till we see a few hundred more. Probably them. All right.
But Dan, you forget that it was the one hijacker's passport that, when they hit the Twin Towers and everything, exploded and melted, actually, was on the street. Yeah. So, I mean, that we knew who did it then. Come on, Dan.
I know. 19 hijackers. And we found one of them melts steel, but not that damn paper in plastic freaking passport. Amen.
Nope. That survived.
Sickening. Talk about staging a crime. But back then, do you think I didn't think about that? I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
I didn't either.
Yeah. And look how quick people fell for it, and we are still dealing with the repercussions from 9/11 20 years later. 20 years later.
Oh, well, just hold on to your hats, because I did hear someone say, I don't remember who it was. I've been listening to so many people being interviewed, and there are people on the inside or outside or whatever the fuck they are. But someone just made a comment about, well, as the anniversary of 9/11 approaches, we're always concerned about, I'm like, oh, Christ, is that what's going to happen?
You want me to read it?
You're going to have something happen? Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I know Gorgeous is going to do a rant on this in the roundtable tonight. And I talked about it on Sunday. But I'm just going to back up what you're saying. So I'm not going to steal your thunder here. Because, yes. So you literally have the ones allegedly responsible allegedly responsible for 9/11, who you were told are the enemy, that just recaptured their country in a matter of days, they are not the threat. No. They are not the threat. Who is the threat here? Let me pull this up so I could back up what you're saying.
Well, and you said, like, as you're pulling that up, the whole thing is like, well, now they are conveniently in place to be in charge. So when shit hits the fan in September on an anniversary, disaster, well, now we can see this is what happened. Now we'll get pulled back into war again.
Yeah. So the real terror threats on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, those who are opposed to COVID-19 measures, those who claim election fraud and believe Trump will be reinstated, and those who think 9/11 was an inside job. So not the Taliban that has just reclaimed their country and beheading people and stoning people and doing their shit, right? The ones that you were told for 20 years are the boogeyman, they are not, and have all this new weaponry. They are not the threat. No. If you are opposed to COVID shit, if you believe in an election fraud, that's a hell of a reach. This belief that Trump will be reinstated, which I don't know who the fuck ever started that one. That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Sorry.
Right? I mean, even Trump gets asked about it and kind of turns his head. But like, whatever. He's going to be reinstated. Now they're saying August 22nd. I don't know where that came from. Whatever.
Okay.
But regardless, if you believe
boomers.
that, right? But if you believe that, again, but those people who believe that and 9/11 truthers, you are the true threat to America on this upcoming 20th anniversary of America's attack on America. There you go.
Oh, I guess I'm the true threat.
And that's from NBC Nightly News, as made official by the Department of Homeland Security, another federal agency that didn't exist until 9/11 because we needed more federal agencies. Fuck that.
Wow.
Like, you see the hypocrisy in this, the irony in this, right? Because again, we've always made it clear on this show about, our differing beliefs, but we talk about it. But again, none of these belief structures warrant somebody being a threat on 9/11. I just so, and you nailed it. Now you have the Taliban back in place to either A, pin something on, or B, they'll have somebody go and instigate or do something on 9/11. Oh, look, it's a 9/11 truther. It's a Trump supporter. They just blew up something. Because there are some dumb people on all sides. We know this.
Yes.
And there are also some easily led astray people. But the majority, they're not going to do what they're being accused that that is being put out there. They're not going to do that. Who will do it? The same one that tried to go and kidnap the governor of Michigan.
God.
An undercover FBI agent will most likely be the one, or the ones that truly breach the Capitol, the federal agents that just lure the dumb people in, they'll be the ones that do something. So they have so many options now. Was it a truther? Was it a Trumper? Was it a Trump reinstater? Was it a anti-COVID person? Was it an anti-vaxxer? Was it the Taliban? I don't know. Was it a BLM? Was it a Boogaloo? Was it a fucking Antifa? Was it an angry vet who feels besmirched because of what they've done in Afghanistan? They've set the table brilliantly, Carrie. They have their next fall guy.
It's a smorgasbord.
Yes. You can literally pick and choose who they want to blame. I mean, I just don't know. And this isn't talking. This isn't us giving a bit. We're literally reading news reports now. I'm citing something from NBC Nightly News. Carrie's seen it. I've seen it. Like, well, people only outrage over that because you fucking should be. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh, that's just conservatives. No. You know how many 9/11 truthers I know that are liberal or independents or libertarians?
Hello, I'm one.
Right? I mean, and then I like this too. This whole vaccine hesitancy thing, right? But you're automatically anti-vaxxers. Some people are, and some people aren't, but you're lumped in, right? And again, it's just none of it. So if you literally want liberty and the right to choose, right? If you want people to be free to live their lives, you are a threat to America on the anniversary of 9/11. Does this not speak to what I just said before? We have allowed it to become this. And again, I don't want, and I'm not saying this for any particular reason, only just to kind of make a half a point, or not even relate things, tie it together. What I said about 9/11, how quickly we were sold the story and the fear porn and the outrage and the unity and this. So we got to do this to save others. And we got to fight them here so they don't come here. And we have to do this, we do this, we do this. Does that sound like anything else you heard last year from January to March? Understand, people. That's not me. Oh, you're just an asshole. No. I'm pointing out truth to you right now, whether you agree with everything I say or not. Ask yourself, do a little introspective thinking, right? Does it sound like anything else? And if you say that it doesn't, you are lying to yourselves, and I feel sorry for you. That's the truth. So YouTube, I know we're on there right now. You could ban this. Yeah, anybody could ban this and censor and cut off or whatever else for simply pointing out the comparisons, because they're very similar, very, very crippling to what's left of this country. That is why people like me get so pissed off and we fucking rage and we rant, because we're trying to say, I don't want you to see it the way I'm saying. I want you to see it for yourself when it's right in front of you.
But that's the problem. And we've said this 1,000 times. Unfortunately, the average American is stupid, and they become stupid because they become complacent. They sit down and they consume. They consume media. They consume social media. They don't think for themselves. They listen to every little stupid video that somebody can like post on something, or read every little blog entry that someone puts, and nobody realizes that these are opinions. They're not fact. And nobody takes the time anymore to check facts and to see for themselves. And so then, it's just like they just hear it and they accept it. Just like I was just as stupid when 9/11 happened. Like, it kills me that it took me, I don't know how many years until like I watched one of those documentaries, and I put in air quotes because it's not really, Loose Change and 9/11 in Plain Sight, both of them. And I just, I kept explaining it away. Like, they were talking about, they started easy with like it's been so long since I've seen it. I think they started with the Pentagon, I think flight, or no, they started with did they? Yeah, I think so. I mean, okay. So they start talking about that, and I'm like, okay. And it's like, or they were talking about the plane. They had the footage, the French filmmakers that were doing the thing on the FDNY, caught the first plane that hit. And that was the only footage at all of the plane hitting the tower, that, which also seems weird, but okay. So you see that. And then and the guy who was like rewinding the tape and saying, look at the flash. And I'm like, that could have been anything. And I was able to explain a lot of things away. But when he brought up the insane part about with the Pentagon, I was like, where's the plane wreckage? And I just stopped and I went, well, there's got to be stuff here. And I'm looking and I'm like, no. And then they found that very small motor, engine, whatever you want to call it, that did not belong to that size plane. They even checked and all that. It's this tiny, and I'm like, and there was no footage of any plane hitting. And then they show like how low it came in, but yet there's no scrape marks on the ground from anything from the plane. None.
No
so
holes
I'm like,
for the wings.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Exactly. So it seems to me right there, that explains a missile to me, especially with the speed and the precision. Come on. But I mean, so that's the first thing that made me go, wait, what? And I can still remember that day. I was standing in the kitchen with my father, and we watched, like, it was in the morning before that. Like, when I first woke up, I woke up to the radio and it said a plane had hit the World Trade Center. I'm like, oh God, that's terrible. It's an accident, whatever. I brushed my teeth and all that, came downstairs, and by that time the second plane had hit. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then my dad and I are standing there, and hear about the Pentagon, and we're watching everything, and I'm like, never once did I say, where's the plane stuff? Like, what the fuck is wrong? And like the name of the one documentary is perfect, In Plain Sight. Like, literally, it was in plain sight. And the one that's the icing on the cake for me was looking at the hole of the plane that went down in Shanksville. I can't remember something like that, in Pennsylvania, right? And and there's pictures, you can see it online. I mean, it's almost comical. They put the size of the plane, they superimpose it in the hole, and it's like, what the hell? Like, I mean, there's no way that a plane could have made that tiny little hole. And then to have like the local coroners show up and say they'd never seen anything like that. There was nothing. There was no wreckage. There was nothing. Everything was complete. Like there were no bodies. There was nothing. No suitcases. It's like, oh, because the plane was full of fuel. No, fake news, because we've seen plenty of planes who've crashed with full fuel tanks and didn't like completely disintegrate. There's no way that could happen. And so like all of that just kind of hit me at once. And then, forever changed me. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you look at everything that happens. And like I said, when I heard this whole thing with now the Taliban's back in charge, and then the one random comment about, well, the anniversary of 9/11, I'm like, oh, fuck me, because now the Taliban's back in charge. And you keep saying it, we've had how many years with no wars, nothing, no new aggressions. Well, it's time for that, because we got to fix this economy. The economy is tanking. It's a disaster. It's a horrible hot mess. And we all know that the best way to fix a bad economy is to go to war, because then you've got the whole thing going with all the production. You're getting people employed. You get people going. And that's what is coming. I swear to God, that's what's coming.
Yes. What ended the Great Depression? World War II. Hitler was rising to prominence in Germany, then everybody was having an economic boom and even upturn in Germany. But when the Great Depression hit here, it affected Germany. And then what got people more fired up and back to the Nazi party, right? It did so many things that was so by design and so calculated, and boom, and make all that money, all that fucking money, right? Got to make that money, cash in on war. And some people will say, oh, they didn't do that back in the day. Right. Come on. Right.
Oh, all that shit that came out about Pearl Harbor was a couple of years ago. There was something that got declassified or whatever. The fact that basically the government knew it was coming and they're like okay with it, because that was going to be the way to get us into war, because Americans would not have like stomached going into war after World War I. They want nothing to do with World War II. But so then we have to do a terrorist attack on the United States soil, and that'll get people riled up and sign up, and we can get going.
The perfect show.
Yeah.
The perfect staging, the perfect.
And people don't understand that all the companies that are involved in when war starts going. I mean, like they think, oh, well, yeah, it's just like the companies that make like the jets. There's a lot, like GE is one of the big ones. I remember that from 9/11 in plain sight. I mean, he actually goes through the end and lists like all of the companies that like turn profits, and especially when it comes to war. And it's just like, wow, like, all these companies that make all this stuff. So there you go. You want to get the economy booming again? Start a war.
And it's funny too, because you see so many things coming out. And one notable is the great Satan himself. That's an insult to Satan. George Soros. Just
hey, I like Satan. Don't be mean to him.
I said it's an insult to Satan. But George Soros, one of the most evil, vile, disgusting creatures walking the planet Earth, just gave an interview and said that China and Xi Jinping is a threat to the Great Reset and a one world order. Now, there's an amazing hypocrisy there. I mean, wow. Now, China is supposed to be the catalyst and the figurehead and the spearhead of it all, but we have a little bit at odds there with the globalists that are taking over the world and China taking over the world. And it looks like the overlords are not really digging how big they've helped fund and allowed China to become now, because China came right out and did their propaganda and just basically, but I can't even call it propaganda. They accurately reported the news and gave opinion and made us look like the fools that we are because of Afghanistan, and basically told the American president, don't even try to defend anything in Taiwan, because they're going to capitalize on the weakness now. And people want to talk about Taiwan, right? And yeah, we're allied with them. We're supposed to defend them. We have a treaty with them and everything else, right? But here's what it really comes down to. And this is a horrible thing to say. This is horrible, but it's so fucking true. Taiwan makes about 92% of all the what are they called? The chips or whatever that go into all the cell phones that we buy in America.
The microchips. Yep.
China knows they take that away, they destroy us. They will own it. They will sell it to us at a far higher rate. And so it really comes down to money. Because China, let's be honest, China could take Taiwan, take Hong Kong in about 5 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
Sad to say, but true. But it's all done for money.
Well,
Money.
the like George Soros and all that, you're saying that, like, saying China is like an enemy and all that. Well, you're starting to see, I don't know how many people listening do, anything with the stock market. I have like a retirement account that I don't touch, and I whatever, but I do play around a little bit with some on Robinhood, right? And I get these news releases and stuff. And I have stock in AMD, which is one of the chip companies you're talking about. And I also have stock in Alibaba, which is like the Eastern version of Amazon. And Alibaba has been tanking because a lot of the articles, all of a sudden you're seeing all these people going on news and stuff like that, saying that, oh, well, China's regulations and blah, 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 and China's bad, blah, 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 and all this. And so they're saying that, I think I heard someone say that the US is looking into putting in some kind of restrictions. I think I'm not sure exactly, because I'm not, very, well read on this subject, but talking about the US putting restrictions on Chinese companies in the American stock markets and stuff. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. And so, yeah, so they're really trying to cause a shitstorm.
Oh yeah. And they know it's easily done now. They know this is the time to pile on. And for those who are naive enough to think the economy is doing good, that's what everybody says when they're in hyperinflation. Oh, we're doing great. No.
Have you been to the grocery store lately?
Right. I mean, and then look, and here's another one, and I'm quoting again, and this is per a million news sources, and I don't understand why they're doing this. That's what makes me go back to what I said earlier, that they're purposely trying to make Biden look worse so they could easily install Kamala. But they literally said that Joe Biden asked and requested to please increase the production of oil in OPEC to lower gas prices.
Oh yeah, I heard that, and they laughed. They completely fucking laughed at him.
Russia, Saudi, all them laughed at us.
But that pisses me off too, because you've said it yourself, we have enough oil here in this country that we don't need that. So why can't we ramp it up here ourselves?
We did, but he shut it all down. Trump did that. When they laughed at Trump, what did Trump do? And again, love or hate, credit where credit is due, as I will do for anyone. That fucker broke their back and gave us actual oil independence, to the point where we were having other countries offering us money to take their oil.
Yeah.
Now, tell me that can't be done again. Of course it could, but because of politics, because you want to push a narrative or an agenda, you're going to punish the people of this country because of pettiness. That's right. Biden shut down all the pipelines now. How sad. How sad. Is any political party worth, first off, the Democrats have absolutely no political agenda other than let's just destroy it as much as possible and give everything away for free. And the Republicans, the establishment class, they have no agenda other than we need more wars, and let's stand with the Democrats and let's pass those wonderful infrastructure bills because that's going to save America. So we want to get richer. So they're all the uniparty, as we always say, the uniparty. Mm-hmm. So we had these same parties do the same thing to Trump, and he basically gave him the finger, created millions of jobs, got the pipelines up, finished what was started, and we actually got to see gas prices come down dramatically for a nice sustained amount of time. And look at how quickly they skyrocketed back up. As I always said, I want to play that fucking song from Rocky, that James Brown song, that Live It in America thing. But yes, we broke our dependence on American oil. Congratulations. We went to war for oil, but we forgot to take the oil.
There's no oil in Afghanistan.
I know, that was Iraq and Syria. We keep trying with Syria, but that evil dictator who the people all really like, who he celebrates defeating ISIS by allegedly gassing his own people, even though some of those people that were gassed, we saw like 9 other gassings. But hey, that's purely coincidental. We keep trying to get into Syria, but no. People just aren't about that. Don't worry, Biden's already bombed them. They thought Trump did, but he bombed a runway where the fuckers were trying to stage their bullshit. So again, facts matter. It's not opinion, just facts. So we keep trying to find those new oil-rich countries, and it's just not working out that good, is it? So there was a bigger agenda, a bigger motive. And unfortunately, we all have to bear the weight of this now. And again, I hate to say this, but we get what we deserve as long as we allow them to do it. Do you know how many countries in the world have the right to take back their country by any means necessary? Do you know how many have that?
I would say every country.
No. What? There's one country where it's literally ingrained in our Constitution. It's here. It's here. And do we do it? No. We think elections will do it. How's that working out? And nobody, like, they say, oh, well, you know what, it really wasn't election fraud. It was increased by mail ballots and mail drops and everything else. Listen, I've heard so many different debates and stories. Election fraud is nothing new. It's been done for fucking eons. So the elections have been corrupt and perverted forever. Okay? So sometimes things get more highlighted than other times. That's it. We allow this to happen.
So how did Trump become president?
There was election fraud in 2016, but they actually thought that it'd be an easy win. It was actually noted. What the hell is this asshole's name? I hate him. The guy who did the whole story about Watergate, Woodward. He wrote in his book, his first book about the 2016 campaign, that the mainstream media decided during the primaries to purposely give Trump more media attention because they thought he was so comical, and it'd be easier to get rid of the establishment candidates. It'd be an easier victory for Hillary Clinton. And then they said by the time we turned on him, it was already too late because he had picked up momentum. But even though there was very well documented election fraud in 2016, they honestly thought that he didn't stand a chance, that they propped him up so it wasn't real. Now, how you ignore the rallies with tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, like how you ignore that is beyond me, but they did, and they admit it. And there's so many different things that have come out from 2016 and even recently. Most notably, the Time magazine put out a whole story back in October, I believe, called The Red Mirage. And they tell you how establishment Republicans, Democrats, and activist groups and unions and all, they listed all these groups, how on election night, it's going to look like Donald Trump has easily won. But as the night and the morning and the days go on, the Democrats will win the White House. And they told you how they're going to do it. They literally told you. This is Time magazine, The Red Mirage. They actually reissued the story in January just as a fuck you. Just like when the FBI said Hunter Biden wasn't under investigation, they don't know of anything, and the media said this unfounded, then came out the day after he won and said, we knew he was under investigation. The FBI admitted he has been under investigation, and the media went so far as to say, we knew it, we just didn't feel like you needed to know until now. So, and again, that's not a right-wing talking point. That's not a left-wing talking point. This is your media admitting this and being blatant about it. So that's what happened in 2016. They created something so they thought that they had full control over it. They did not. So, but there was a lot of fraud in 2016 too, please believe. Just the problem was the fraud went the other way because, believe me, they were by no means trying to prop up Trump to actually win in a general. They did not want that. They always talk about Agenda 30, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2030. Please believe before that it was Agenda 21. So they hit a roadblock, but don't worry, they took care of that. So there you go.
So here's my question for you, and I'm genuinely curious about what you think. So we're looking at the next election cycle, right? So no matter who runs, like I don't care who's running on. I mean, whatever happens, right? So it's going to be more than likely chosen for us if we're listening to what you're saying and taking that into consideration. So would they choose a Republican, or would they keep Biden or Harris or whoever happens to be in charge by that time? Like I'm curious, like the those people who are basically controlling the elections. And now they've learned their lesson with the whole situation with Trump from before. Like, they're never going to allow that to happen again. So what is it? Do they just look for who's the most malleable and it doesn't matter what party, or is there some sort of method to their madness?
There's a method. So now look at, even with the story they sold everybody about the past election, right? They said that, oh, Republicans got crushed. No, they won every seat they ran for in the House. They gained seats. So that doesn't happen when an honest election is taking place, though. Exactly. Follow the money. Buck said in the chat room. But when an election is righteous, right? If you're going to have all these people on the ballot and all Republicans are winning in Congress and they're winning in the Senate, well, the Senate was corrupt, but if they're winning here, they're winning in state houses, they're winning in state senates, they're winning in governorships, they're winning, but magically the top of the ticket just lost in a historic fashion, even though they gained more votes than they had in 2016. You see, it's like my COVID thing. The propaganda doesn't meet the realism, like the reality of what happened, right? So what they'll do is they'll control it. Now, people are expecting a quote unquote red wave. They said a red tsunami was coming in 2018. That has never happened. Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the White House when Trump had his first 2 years in. Unfortunately, a bitch McConnell and a Paul Ryan scumbag in charge spent more time going against everything Trump tried to do than give him an easy victory because it was establishment. So you're supposed to think that, oh, Republicans are going to take it all in 2018. That never happens. The opposition party takes control more often than not. I can hardly remember when that hasn't happened, fixed or otherwise. So what they have going on now is they do not like the attention being paid to all these audits. These aren't audits to say that, my opinion, your opinion, whatever, you should want this election audited. You should want that. And Biden, if you won by such a number, then you should be advocating for audits because you want to make sure maybe you're due more votes. Maybe, it benefits your party, right? You should want it. But Democrats and lobbyists and unions and media are working overtime to condemn any and all audits being done. They don't like that. They don't like attention being drawn. Attention was drawn to Florida back in 2016, and it was drawn differently in 2018. And again, to his credit, DeSantis still managed to win and then actually charged and prosecuted Republicans and Democrats in local election offices in Florida that were involved in fraud. Good for him. I'll give him that. Good for him. So they don't like the attention being paid, so they hope there's more distractions. They need more distractions. And when there's not enough distractions, they're going to create distractions. Like we always say, it's a horrible joke. Politician has a bad day, cue up the next school shooting, cue up the next this, now cue up the next outbreak or whatever it may be, because they need to divert your attention.
The next variant.
Yes.
You got to have the right term there, Dan.
Afghanistan is the new distraction. So you have variants, you have Afghanistan, you have so, like we said before, we have so many different things up in the air right now. So many balls we're juggling, right? This is great. So in theory, the fraud will always be evident, but the fraud will be really highlighted because Republicans will take control of the House in 2022 because that's what historically happens. That's the pattern. So they'll take control. They have to. They see the animus of the country. So you have to allow that to happen. Now, if all these establishment Republicans, like McConnell, or he's not even up at 22, but nevertheless, like a Sass or a Kinzinger or a Cheney, if they all win in massive numbers, that's your new fraud. So their problem will be the primaries. You see, primaries are what scares them right now. Too much attention being paid when usually nobody pays attention to primary elections.
Right.
So you have a lot of populist candidates Republicans challenging sitting Republicans in primaries. By rights, we should see a lot of them flip to the primary challenger, then going into a general. So if we see all the establishment Republicans magically still maintain their seats and they take control, there's that version of election fraud done by design. Because ultimately, the power brokers here, the global elite, whatever you want to call them, they don't care who's in because there's a figurehead regardless. They control them because they have the money. They control their campaigns. They control their donations. They control their, you name it. Big Pharma will say, well, I'm going to pull money out of that local hospital in freaking Topeka, Kansas. So you better vote the way I want you to vote. Yes, massa, I vote the way you tell me. Give me millions.
Yeah.
And they do. So that happens all the time. So Republicans taking control in 22, people say it's a red, it'll mean nothing unless, because the animus and the righteousness of the anger in this country by people who do vote would mean that they're going to start picking populist candidates on either side to replace the establishment ones that have been there forever. Like they tried to use AOC as a prop. She was paid puppet asshole, but she was the one that won a primary challenge, and then she went to the general and she won, and she's a change agent. She was a paid hack bitch. All right, still is. But you have to watch out for that because they're going to implant their own. So they don't have to control the narrative because either way, Republicans will take control of the House. So then you're already talking, oh, well, McCarthy is going to be the next Speaker of the House. He's a piece of shit rhino scumbag. You see? So they're setting the stage for, they know they're going to lose the House. I don't know if enough seats are up in the Senate. They may lose the Senate, whatever. But that's nothing new. It's a matter of they are going to be more focused and more money thrown at the primary challengers and the elections on a smaller scale before the general. That's what matters. So if they get too many populists in, and I know you're not a fan, right? And she does do some things that I love and some things that are whatever, but let's just use Marjorie Taylor Greene as an example at the moment. Just as an example. If enough people like her were running, maybe didn't say as many whatever things, but enough people like her and they took the majority, then you would think somebody like her, a Jordan, take your pick, or a what's his face, Massey, that they would become Speaker of the House because it's an insurgent, it's a populist, right? But they can't allow that to fall, you see. They don't want that to happen. They need their reliables, their owned to stay.
Well, they can't control them. They're the wild cards. They can't control them.
Love, hate, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're not they're not controlled by. That's the problem. So that's why they desperately need you to focus on lockdowns and mail-in ballots again. They desperately need you distracted from what's going on and using multiple different examples. They desperately need you to not pay attention to Arizona, to not pay attention to all these other states, or even other states that weren't even part of the 5 that are doing audits that we don't even hear about because we can't give that any. Why? You should be.
Wasn't Pennsylvania supposed to do an audit?
Yes.
I think I feel like one of the guys was like trying to push for that.
Yes, but herein lies the problem there. And this is where we got to educate people. And this is where I'm being completely unbiased. You see, these same Republican heroes of Pennsylvania who control the houses in PA, right? The heroes that we're gonna do a recount, we're gonna do this, and we're all about it, America first and everything. They're the same Republican majority that a year prior voted for the unconstitutional changes to happen to our voting structure that allowed this to happen. That's what they don't tell people. But now, just like the Tea Party, I'm John Boehner and I'm a piece of shit. Oh, I'm John Boehner. I'm a Tea Party guy now. He's a hero. That's what they do. And Pennsylvania, now, yeah, they're talking audit because you have enough people pissed off. Because Pennsylvania, I hate to break it, is not a liberal state. Pennsylvania, really isn't. Now,
it's not. It's absolutely not.
Because Trump almost took Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a blue-collar Democrat area, and they were very heavily in support of Trump. So that was obviously right. Again, 1.6 million mail-in ballots went out, 2.3 million came back. I mean, that's just in-your-face stupidity. And that doesn't even necessarily guarantee a change. You see, that's where they try to write us all off as being crazy and all wanting this, all wanting that. No. We just want validation either which way. And when the obvious is right in front of you, like, yo, call bullshit because that's fucked up. So, yes, and Buck said it. So Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, that were very much in support of Trump. And he had a lot of blue dog Democrat support. Oh, you never seen the numbers. Look at his rallies he held out there. Tens of thousands of 30, 40, 50, whatever, right? Okay. Philly, yes, Philly is blue because it's by design. If you're a major city, you're gonna be blue just because
absolutely.
they've made it that way. But Philly represents one portion. They try to say Scranton too. Luzerne County should have surprised a lot of people. Very much conservative, right? So Pennsylvania is not as lost as they want you to think it is, or they need it to be. So they don't like PA. But these elected officials that were part of the actual steal, as far as I'm concerned, by passing these unconstitutional. When I'm saying unconstitutional, I'm not just talking about the U.S. Constitution, but the Pennsylvania Constitution literally gave a rubber stamp to what Wolf was doing. They were all in on it. Some weren't. Like Representative Darryl Metcalf, who I'm friends with and has spoken at many of our rallies and shit like that. He actually came out and said that these same people saying that they're heroes are the ones that did this to us. So there's a couple of them that are honest, but again, they're the minority. But now they have to act like they're the voice of the people. Pardon the pun. They're going to do a recount. They went and visited Arizona and they saw how it's done. They're going to do an audit. Because they feel like they have no other means. They have to now to try to stay in favor of some. And we don't hear about their primary challengers, and there's a lot of them. Just like New York City votes Democrat. The rest of the state votes red, but goes blue. So contrived, so stupid. New York City, Philadelphia, Indianapolis, Los Angeles, these cities have zero reason to be Democrat.
Yeah, that's sure.
Right? They really don't. But when it's controlled demolition, what did I tell you in the beginning of everything with the COVID stuff? How I told you I need to destroy New York City and destroy the big cities for population reduction, get more people to move out, and then easier to control, manipulate. Remember I talked about that like last February with you?
Yep.
And again, that's what we're seeing. More papers, please. That's done by design. It's going to kill tourism. It's going to kill this, going to kill that, all by design.
Oh, it absolutely is. It totally is.
It has nothing to do with your safety and everything to do with the purposeful destruction of the city because it's easier to control.
Yes, I think it was yesterday I guess, or today is the first full day it's gone into effect, where in New York City, if you don't have a vaccine, you cannot enter bars, restaurants, entertainment venues, gyms, probably museums, I'm assuming, because entertainment venue is a very large category. So yeah. So, and of course, they're going to leave it on the people who run those establishments to be the police, but I don't see how that's going to happen. But yeah, so I mean, let's just make it even harder for New York to come back. All the while, de Blasio spouting that, oh, we're back better than ever. Really? Because I was just talking to a dear friend of mine who lives on the Upper East Side. And he goes, the restaurants, and that's a very, it's a old money section of the city. And, we stayed with him for a couple months when we were between apartments one time. And like, you couldn't walk 20 feet without running into a restaurant, right? I mean, there's all kinds of restaurants. He said there's so many that have been closed up. He lives above one that had been open for years and years and years. That shut down. And he said, nobody's coming back. He says, I walked, to the grocery store. He goes, and it's a ghost town. He goes, I've never seen parking available like I do now. I'm like, whoa, now right there, that tells you everything. And the Channel 7, ABC 7 out of New York did some investigation. They looked into, they got records from the post office and found out something like, I think it's almost 400,000 people since the beginning of the pandemic have given change of address and got out of the city. Almost 400,000. And it's and those are just the ones that, who decided to leave the city. We're not talking about ones who, were like, who left, who never were getting mail or anything like that either. So, I mean, definitely decreasing the population there. That's for sure.
Done by design because they want the small city initiative. You see, under Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, it's all climate change. It's a catalyst for all this. That's their excuse anyway. So the small city, lockstep, all these wonderful things is reducing the population, reducing the carbon footprint, allegedly, and they're easier to control in smaller numbers. That's what they need. So politically, it makes absolute perfect sense to do these draconian measures to continue to have their control because people. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, you mean like the gun control laws, and like, how, it's so much safer in New York City because, you're not allowed to have a gun there. And I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, there were something like 17 shootings in the space of like one day, and then like the whole weekend, it was like well over 30 or something like that. I'm like, holy fucking shit. It's the wild fucking West in the city right now. Like it's never been this bad. Well, it's not never, but it hasn't been this bad in decades.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I mean, if I was ever being chased by somebody with a gun in New York City, I just run to a gun-free zone and point to the sign and say, "You got to drop your weapon now." I mean, this is what they want you to believe, though. You see, and I'm judging by the messages and your decision that the maestro is going to be accompanying you, and I am happy to hear that. Even though I think it sucks, I'm happy to hear that because, honestly, you're better off. And I know that sucks for you. But I'm not saying because of him. I'm saying just in general because of the dual living situation. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I do.
I'm happy to hear that, and I think that's smart because
he wants to walk me to the subway actually, and actually wait with me until the train comes in the morning. So.
And I'm happy to hear that because honestly, I said it the other day, and I'll say it now. New York is a fallen, barren shithole. It is Mad Max world now. This is what they've allowed it to become, and. That's
a great description.
It's appropriate, right? It's this draconian dystopia. This is. There's so many movies now that have come to life. We're living it. Mm-hmm. And I always say movies are a foreshadowing of the future, right? So everything's a test. So what's being done again? Tim Pool again, my favorite leftist, not a Democrat, not a Republican, voted for Obama, voted for Trump. He did it today where he called up all these establishments in New York City on the Timcast IRL and timcast.com. Actually, I'll do a free plug. Not that he needs my help, but nevertheless, he's got millions. But he called up the establishments in New York City and said, what about medical exemptions? So they don't matter. So there you go. So even people who are handicapped now, and again, this
like
goes back
how are you supposed to check that? How are you I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you because I have to tell you the story. So the DOE is mandating that all people who work in schools either get vaccinated or submit the results of a COVID test every week, right? So no secret, I am vaccinated, and I'm glad because I sure as hell don't want that thing scraping my brain every week. So I looked and so in order to show proof, because I didn't get vaccinated in New York, so there's no record of me having been vaccinated there. There's two apps you can download for New York, right? One's the Empire Pass, which is the one that basically connects with your health records, and they have all of your information right there. And the other one is for people who are generally visitors to the city or who, got vaccinated outside. And so I'm like, all right, so I'm wondering how this is going to work. Do you know what I had to do in this app in order to put my vaccination status up there? And then the DOE so the DOE could connect to it, and it's like that. So they're good with it now too. All I had to do was take a picture of my vaccine card, the front and the back.
Isn't that great?
That's it. Yeah, and I put my name in and all that, but and then if I wanted to, I could put upload a picture of my driver's license, and I'm like, so, and then it took I don't know, the little wheel spun for 3 seconds, and it said, okay, thanks, you're whatever, okay, it's a clear. I could have uploaded Kevin's vaccine card; they would not even known the difference. It was a damn picture. What the hell are you doing? So it's a huge fucking joke. So anybody who's angry and wants to go into into a bar or restaurant and they haven't been vaccinated, it's not rocket science how you could get around it. Just saying. I'm not advocating that you lie, because I'm sure there's some sort of legal ramifications if you ever get caught, but I don't know how you're going to get caught because it was ridiculous. Just saying.
Yeah, it's such a crock of shit. And again, and I call this the comparison night. I don't know. What I said before about 9/11, right? How we rushed the propaganda, the fear porn to get everybody to buy in, right?
Yep.
How we rushed the other event that happened in early 2020 for everybody to buy in and fall victim, right? Now, people with disabilities and people with medical exemptions, you're not allowed to shop here, to eat here, to go
because
here.
Because that's talk about HIPAA. How are you supposed to if you have a legitimate medical issue that you cannot get a vaccine, you have to prove that? That's a violation of their privacy. What the hell?
The same people who fought for HIPAA and the ADA are now the ones advocating that you're not allowed to go anywhere, and that's a righteous thing to do. So what I was going to compare that one to is, who does that sound like in history that said that the handicapped need to be killed, the old need to be killed? I'm just wondering. There's somebody in history that did that shit. There's a lot of people that did that shit, but it doesn't sound too familiar, right? Yeah, it doesn't sound too familiar. No, again, doing the job that Hitler would love to be doing this day. So he's doing cartwheels in his grave somewhere in South America. Fantastic. Fantastic. Congrats. Yeah. And all those black people, hey, we're all about black people. Black lives matter. But, oh, you're the lowest group that's vaccinated. So sorry, you can't shop here, eat here, or go watch movies here. Segregation has returned. All in the name of social justice.
Yep.
And
that's perfect. That is the perfect example of irony right there.
Yes. And that's you having your beliefs and me having my beliefs, and we both say the same thing because common sense. Common sense.
Which is sadly lacking.
Yes. It's a fucking disgrace. Anymore. I mean, I identify as, I've had 762 vaccines at this point and 1,386 booster shots. But I, of course, am not vaccinated, right? And as I come to find out, due to all my sicknesses, that I, in turn, wouldn't be a candidate for said vaccine. Not that I'd rather die than take that poison, but that's me, right? To each their own. Everybody do what you need to do and talk to your doctor, blah, 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 whatever. We don't advocate either way. Do what's right for you. Okay.
Right. Yep. So your body, your choice.
Exactly. So even knowing that, though, it doesn't matter. So you call me an anti-vaxxer. Well, no, I just have a medical condition. Oh, you're a fucking scumbag. You're a murderer. Yep. But I have you're a scumbag murderer denier. Wow.
And that's the shit that pisses me off. The murderer part. So I hear people who sit there and say the people who refuse to get vaccinated are killing people. No, because if you're vaccinated, you can still spread the disease too. So if you believe, what everyone's saying, if you're vaccinated, you're more than likely not going to get a very bad case of it, and you should be fine. So why do you care? The people who are choosing not to get vaccinated, if they die from it or whatever, well, hey, that's their choice, right? So why are the people getting so angry at the people who aren't getting vaccinated? And then if you're going to tell me about, some of the kids, so children under 12 can't get vaccinated yet. So we have to protect them. Well, those people who are that concerned are making sure their kids are wearing masks and probably aren't taking them into public situations, or at least shouldn't if they're that concerned. So again, why is there an outrage about the people who are not getting the? Oh, that's because it's going to make the variants it's going to mutate more. Well, here I've got something to tell you. If you really believe that, so here's another problem. So America is talking about already getting a booster shot, right, for people who are immunocompromised. So you got your 2 shots, or one if it's Johnson & Johnson, and now you can get a booster shot, right? And they're advocating that, and I know how much we love the WHO, not the band. But the World Health Organization is saying that it's unconscionable for the first world countries like America and the UK and all them to be talking about booster shots with their populace when countries like Africa, like continents like Africa, and there's countries in Africa where their vaccination rates are only at 4% of the population because they can't get the vaccine. So now if you believe that the vaccine is legit, so you are hoarding, the US is hoarding, the UK is hoarding, all these the first world nations are hoarding vaccines and giving the 3rd shot to their people while they're not getting it to the to people in poorer countries. And then so now those people will not get vaccinated, and you think that that's not going to mutate from them? It's just only going to mutate from the people who chose not to get a vaccine here in America.
Exactly.
Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
Thank you.
And that's coming from somebody who is vaccinated. So fuck you, Jesus.
Exactly. Hello, people. Fucking see.
I have to laugh. And it's just that's what kills me too. I hear this being reported on the news, and I'm just you can't have it both ways. And I can't be the only one who sees this. You know what I mean? Come on.
Oh, you're not, but people are too afraid to actually say anything or speak up, obviously.
I'm just too stupid and I say it.
It's just sad, you know?
Yeah.
It's genuinely freaking sad that this is where we're at. And the obvious, the ironic shit, just the patheticness of it all, the piss poor nature of it all. It's right there for people to see, and people do see it, but people will, out of fear, out of whatever, condemnation, concern, they will not say anything because they don't want to be, you know, freaking scarlet lettered. And I just, it's the most pathetic thing. And honestly, that goes back to, again, what I said in the very beginning of all this. We get what we deserve because we have allowed this.
Yep.
You know, they are so concerned with vaccine hesitancy and things of that nature in this country, and we're the problem. But at the same time, in other countries like Australia, with the absolute insane bullshit that's happening in Australia and the forced vaccines and all these other countries all over the world, we are the highest number of vaccinated. Great. I mean, you have countries who are literally locking you or kicking in your door without a warrant and taking you away and forcing the shot on you, but they have lower numbers of vaccinated than this country. And okay, and again, to each their own, but do you see how the fear porn doesn't really add up to the numbers, right?
No, because I will hear like one, you know, I'll read read something in the New York Times that says like something like, I don't know, I'm going to make this number up, something like 57% of all Americans are vaccinated, or something like 67 have at least one shot, something like that, right? But then you can go and listen to a news report from CNN or Fox or wherever you want to listen. And they will literally say the numbers of vaccinated Americans, something like 40-some%. So I'm like, so that's a pretty big margin of error right there. Like, I don't know, which one am I supposed to believe? What the hell?
It changes like the cases.
It's so obvious.
Yes. That's see, now we're really getting to the crux of what I've been talking about for so long and what I was trying to really put out there, that as you wait around, right, and eventually it all kind of exposes itself, right? It all comes out like, see, this isn't about making anybody think the way we think. It's about pointing out the obvious and saying like, yo, there's something wrong here, you know?
Yeah.
God.
Oh.
Damn.
Well, I think that was a really, really awesome show. I'm kind of like giving you the freedom to now do all of your little like ads and your little like, you know, like, you know, blurbs and all that, because I know it's, you know, you got the next show coming on at 9. So, but yeah, I mean, like I was glad. I'm very glad that we spent so much time talking about Afghanistan, because it helped me wrap my head around things a little bit more, because I don't honestly know a lot about it. I've been listening. I've been trying to piece together things and trying to figure out the truth. But yeah, I'm very happy that we actually ended on the whole vaccine thing, because that's been bothering me too. Like this has really been bothering me. Like the you know, the lack of transparency, or no, there's a huge amount of transparency, and it's so obvious that there's so much that's like stupid and that people aren't seeing it. So it kind of makes me feel better. And it's especially better when I'm like talking to you, like you said, like we have different viewpoints but like we more often than not agree.
Yes.
which is and I tried to say this to somebody, I don't remember who I was talking to, and I just remembered, and I know I've said this before, but with you, I remember talking to you and telling you about the teacher that, you know, I'm friends, air quotes, with, who couldn't believe that I was talking to you as a Trump supporter. And then I was just like, that's the problem. That's the fucking problem. And you are the problem, because, you know, if you're not willing to talk, if you're not willing to listen to people's opinions, then, you know, you're what's wrong with this country, period. So
exactly. We are sitting here talking, giving opinions and giving backstory and giving factual things or whatever it may be. But at no time are we telling you, do not do this by any means. We're not saying do this by any means. Think the way we think, act the way we want you to act. We're telling you to open your eyes and do what's best for you, but understand You know, that's the biggest thing. So yes, like you said, unfortunately with her, you know, it's so easy to stereotype people. And again, there's another historical thing that maybe people shouldn't really fall victim to. You know, it's always the most virtuous ones that honestly happen to be the most prejudiced. And that's a terrible thing to say, but it's true. The ones that have to constantly project that I'm so good, I'm so accepting, I'm so loving, but you can't talk to that person because they're a Nazi.
Yep.
And again, like
I believe that's called virtue signaling.
Yes.
Is that the term?
That's what I said to that Senator Martinez on CNN. You're a racist. You're a racist. You're a racist. You're a racist. I just let him go. You're a racist. And I said, do you know what's in my heart? Do you know what's in my soul? I don't have to because it's black and you're a racist. Do you know? No. That makes you guilty of prejudging me without knowing, which by definition makes you prejudiced. Walked off a live debate. You see, they don't. Facts and common sense actually do matter. Be brave enough to bring it up.
Yep.
Be brave enough.
And when you,
it.
And when you confront them and you show them that this is, you know, this is really the way, you know, like just look a little bit farther, and then they get all upset and they freak out and then they walk off stage or whatever the case may be because they can't. It just, I'm going to sound like that movie. They can't handle the truth. It's like,
it's true.
you know, I'm sorry that you're so fucking stupid that you can't comprehend that you need to look at stuff from different angles and understand stuff and don't just prejudge. Just saying. Ugh.
Yes. That's a perfect way to end it. I didn't know the show was going to go here tonight, but I actually had a lot of fun.
I did too.
I always have fun, but this was great.
But yeah, this is a really good, really good discussion, I think. So
hell yeah. You know, this is good. And I got to give warning. God help to the members of the round table tonight. Whoever all is going to be there. I know Gorgeous, I know Elias, but God help you all because I'm fired up. Carrie,
sorry, I'm not supposed to do that.
No, this is good, though. This is good. And I hope that we provided good content for all of you. And again, if nothing else, to show you that people can actually have a conversation, be passionate, be heated, be whatever. But at the end of the day, it's all about actually having that conversation and not being afraid and not censoring ourselves. That's at the end of the day, that's the worst sin you could commit. You know, the worst sin you could commit is when you self-censor. There we go. I was starting to lose it there. Self-censor. You know? But no, this was awesome. I had fun. Thank you.
I did too. Thank you.
Next week, are we back on our regular time?
I think so. What's our regular time though now? I'm so confused anymore. What does the guy on the commercial say? Is it Wednesday?
Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Yeah.
We will shoot for Wednesday at 7 p.m.
There you go. And I know that already.
Hey, we got to keep our listeners, you know, alive there and like thinking about stuff so that they can, you got to keep them on their feet all the time.
Damn straight. That's what we do. So, all right. So we'll be back next Wednesday. And I know Carrie's not going to join any other shows. Yeah, you had a good run. You did your 2 shows last night. You did a show tonight.
Yeah. That's 3 in a row there.
Stretch, right?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
All right, love. Have a great night. And I hope that every time I pick up my phone, the camera comes on. I'm so tired of this stupid fucking app.
Thank you, Craps.
Have a great night.
Thank you. I love you. I appreciate
love you too. All right. Have a good one.
And you too. And to everybody else, I will be opening up the studio here shortly if somebody else hasn't done so already. So, yes, thank you all for joining us tonight. Please share on Fascist Book, share on Twitter, share everywhere. What is that saying? Sharing is caring. I hate that fucking saying. That's so stupid, isn't it? Anyway. It is. Oh, Disney Enterprises blocked your video because it may contain something they own. Oh, one of our earlier, I think Nerdalytics. I don't want to say it right. I think their video got blocked on Fascist Book.
Nerdalytics.
There you go. I like how you said it.
Disney.
Right? Fuck Disney.
I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's what I say it when I see it. But yeah, fuck Disney. I can't stand them. They've destroyed everything about my childhood, so fuck them.
There you go.
But, all right. I'm done.
All right. No, you're fine. You know you could always join the next show. Anyway, I know. Go. Enjoy your evening. And I love you.
All right.
Yep. Everybody else, thank you. And again, share on Facebook, share on every social media outlet that you possibly can. Tell them that VOP is doing a doubleheader tonight, and we're fired up. And I am very happy to return to the roundtable here in just the next couple of minutes, because I haven't been on that shit in a hell of a long time. So it's going to be a good time. And again, my man Gorgeous will be there as well, and whomever else shows up on the OG roundtable, coming to you live in like 3 minutes. So share, join, talk, engage, and rage. This has been Rise Above the Noise, coming to you live always at VOPUSARadio.com. Thank you so much for everything. And shout out, as always, to the man, the myth, the legend, Hand Crow on YouTube and everywhere else for creating our awesome fucking intro and outro music. More to come. And thank you all. We'll see you shortly. Join us for the roundtable, people.